Okay, so I think, well, there's a mic open because I hear me double. Okay, I think it's fixed. Basically, this long title, what we want from this SIP is to have clearly how this year behaved, and basically seeing that even if we had this global crisis and pandemic generated by COVID, uh, we need to check how the game behaved and how games and companies adapted to it. So let's go on. I have segmented the presentation in the 4 quarters, and there's a small mention to some kind of games in the end. But basically, what we will go through is in each quarter we will see the most downloaded games. Then we will go to the top 10 revenues of each month of the quarter, and then we will make a mention to particular cases of the games that have been on this top 10. Okay, as we can see in this list, there are many casual, hyper casual, and 2 online multiplayer action games. The tonic of the trend of the downloads is to have a huge amount of casual and hyper casual games. And in the revenues, we will see how the segmentation of these games is, because it's quite different. Okay. So moving to the revenues, we won't have numbers besides some particular cases that are records that were broken this year. That's also the reason of the title. That we need to see where mobile games have the limits in terms of revenues. So what we need to keep from this quarter is the 3 top games are games that will be there for the whole year, and we will see particular cases like Pokemon Go, Roblox, and Dragon Ball, which we will see. And basically, what we will be doing is checking how this top 10 game evolves. As we can see, mostly all of the games are repeated. Here, we need to point that Pokemon Go disappears on March, and it's a game that it's been on the top 5, top 6 since 4 years ago, more or less. And we also need to, now we will mention the behavior of Roblox. Roblox is a game that uses to have its peaks on holidays, since it's a game for kids. Roblox gets the revenue when kids are able to have more spare time to play with. This uses to be in holiday, but as we saw on the tops, well, considering that in January and in February we didn't have COVID in the end of February. We know that in some areas of China, and I think January too, there were COVID started, but the market wasn't affected about that. So the usual trend of the Roblox shall be to have a peak on January and on December, and then slowly reduce its revenues till there's the spring break or the summer break. It's not like they don't do much money, but they don't make as much money to be on the tops. So what happened this year? On March, Roblox was again set into the top 10, and we'll see in the other quarters how it behaves. But this game took benefit from from COVID, from the lockdowns that we had in many countries. And now we will go to the opposite side. Okay, we'll go to Pokemon Go. That it's a game that it's geo-based. Mostly, the game requires the players or rewards the players to move. So it's a game that if we take it objectively, in a lockdown, it's a game that cannot perform to the maximum because players will change their gaming sessions to other games. But Niantic here gained all my admiration because they were so fast reacting with the correct tools, adapting all the gameplay to the lockdown, adding new features. They also modified the rewards system because there was a lot of daily rewards that were about walking, and they moved everything to just focusing on the player staying on the phone because they had to adapt. They needed to carry on with the gameplay and wait until the lockdowns stopped. So basically, they show how important it is to adapt to the data. But this was not basically like a market trend or something. It was a worldwide necessity, and they did so well. Okay. Well, particular mention. We'll mention this type of games that work with big IPs in the end of the presentation. But in the end of January, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle celebrated its 5th birthday, and basically they used so well the event of this 5th year that they recapped and they recovered a lot of users that were lost, and basically we need to point that this is a very important behavior to do, because we will see it with Pokemon Go 2 with the anniversaries. It's key to exploit all your events correctly and in the correct timing, because they made tons of money this year by exploiting that. Okay, now we will move to see a bit how the segmentation of the games was, more or less. We can see that most of the games that take the whole revenue are strategy. Some of them have more or less casual layers. Also, we have action games. We also have pure casual games. Some of them are they are different in mechanics, but in the end they are casual games. And we have to point that hyper-casual games, as a single product, the game as a single product, they've never been on the top 10, and they won't be on the top 10. I spoil you that. And we will see how it really how this market behaves, because it's a market that works in terms of having a wide variety of product instead of a big product that generates a lot of money. Okay. Now we will move to the second quarter. Here I was very surprised because Save the Girl, I did not even know which game it was. And then I saw that it was that game that I saw in all the ads I had in YouTube and in the ads in the video ads from my games. And yeah, it was quite surprising because it has numbers similar to Among Us, which was a big hit. And here, what we will see is 4 of the games that are in the top 10. We can see that not all the games are in the top 10 of downloads. This basically means that the game is already performing good in terms of retention and in terms of taking enough money from each in terms of performance. Sorry, I wasn't getting the word. And now we will move to the revenues. Here we have, as I mentioned, Roblox getting in the top 3. This is directly linked in all the articles that I've been reading. It's directly linked with the lockdowns. As we can see, in April, Pokemon Go it wasn't on the top 10, but in the end, in May, they came back, and also in June, in some countries, the lockdown started to be removed, and as a result of that, we will see also in quarter 3 that in July is when Pokemon Go makes its anniversary. How Pokemon Go is back to being on the tops, and we basically need to pinpoint that. Okay. As I mentioned, Pokemon Go was back to the market. We really need to celebrate how good Niantic performed in terms of that. And quarter 2 was not much of a thing. There was not the conclusion of the quarter 2 is that all the games that were already on the market were performing slightly better due to the time that people spend on the phone, and this was directly linked to performance. Now we will see how in quarter 3 the market behaves. As I told you before, a big hit came in, Among Us. I'm sure that this game you all are aware of, or you at least have played once, not like Save the Girl. And this was a hit, not promoted like directly in video ads, but promoted by the community, and it's a clear example that we as developers and a company itself, we don't have the control on these random magic dice that can make your product be a money maker. About it, we need to point at Garena Free Fire. It's also an arena, a battle royale game. Sorry, as PUBG. It's not on the top 10, but I think that in December we will have it on the top 10. And these games are still on the most downloaded games, and this needs to be directly linked to how they will perform in the future, because Garena is having a series of downloads similar to PUBG. It's following the same curves, and we may see Garena in the top 3 maybe in 3 months. Okay. Back to the tops. We need to point Fate Grand Order. It's a game that appeared to be launched in the Chinese and Japanese markets. I'm not quite sure in which moment it appeared in our market, because I know there was a release in some regions on Europe, but I wasn't. I didn't have accurate data, so I didn't add it. We keep seeing these 3 names, which are PUBG, Honor of Kings, which has another name. maybe much known by you. It's Arena of Valor. Honor of Kings is the original name that it has on the Chinese market. Monster Strike, we did a very similar game here. We started a very similar game that it made fall on the fifth place, but trust me that these numbers are very close one to each other, except from the top two games. And here we will point that Coin Master surprisingly in September performed super good. It was a game that it's been on the top 10 during the whole presentation. And also we will make a mention to Rise of Kingdoms, that it's a game that even if it's developed, it has been developed by a Chinese company. The main launch was on Europe, and in August they made the launch on China. So nowadays this game is making around 15% of the revenue from China in only 2 months. Okay, what we need to take from that? There's been said that it's very difficult to get in the Chinese market. Tencent, which is the developer of Rise of Kingdoms, it's a Chinese company. They know, they have data about the market, but it's not an impossible thing to do, to have a game that performs good on Europe, to move it to the Chinese market. It's something worth to try, and they have proved it. Okay. Moving to the fourth quarter, here I didn't want to add the downloads, basically because we didn't have the December results until this morning. This screenshot, I took it like 2 hours ago. Here we have a very important game that everybody talked about, which is Genshin Impact. And also I will make an emphasis because a game, the free-to-play game that appears on the market, it's not normal to appear here on the top, even if it's a game that explodes all kinds of monetization. There was a bit of controversy about it, but they generated this much money because during the whole beta process of Genshin Impact, players were able to spend money on it. And all this money, basically, if the beta, I think it was around 4 or 5 months, all the cash that players put into the game was added and was... that's why Genshin Impact is on top, because these revenues, it's not only the what Genshin Impact generated here, but all the money that was generated 5 months before. Okay, we also have the appearance of Moonlight Blade, and as we can see, while we move on, Genshin Impact establishes itself on the third place. So we know that it's a game that generates a lot of money, but when we go to the monthly revenues, it's a game that it's not close to Honor of Kings or PUBG yet. Okay, now we will see it on the recap of the year, but these two games are generating like the double of all the games. For example, PUBG is generating the double of Genshin Impact. Now we will go through it. And basically, as I said before, here Garena is finally on the top 10. We'll see how it behaves. I'm very, very excited to see how they perform. And yeah, let's go through it. Genshin Impact. All these, well, it's like redundant, but the impact that it had is that in 15 days, they generated like 400 million dollars, and they positioned themselves in the 15th top grossing game of all time in 15 days. Okay. What were the key things of this game? It was a game well promoted. They made the alpha and the beta campaigns very interesting for the players. Players were able to access almost to all their content. And basically, as I mentioned before, the over monetization, it's a thing in this game. If your mythical item or your sword breaks, you really need to pay or farm again to get an item similar to that one. And they have almost all the gacha systems that exist. I think they miss one. And I even if that's kind of a bad thing in terms of gameplay, they have a very polished product. All the environments and the VFXs are very, very interesting. And we'll see also, I'm very interested in how it will perform during this year. Then to mention 3D martial art MMORPG in mobile, which is performing pretty well. It has this Japanese environment. We will see how it performs, but yeah, in the first month, it was able to get in the top 10 in only 15 days. We'll see how the game works and how it progresses, but take a look at it because it's quite cool. Okay, the kings of the year. First of all, let's mention this graphic. During all the months, the games from the top 10 are generating around 50 to 80 million, and they have some peaks of 120 and 150 million dollars. So everything is in dollars. As I mentioned before, we have two very differentiated games, which are Honor of Kings and PUBG, which they are normally making from 100 to 150 million dollars, and they have peaks of 200 to 250 million dollars. Okay, and let's see how these kings are behaving right now, and which is the future of it. Okay, now currently Honor of Kings have the control over most of the markets for the MOBAs. Now the future, I think they still make like similar numbers. We'll see how Wild Rift, which is Riot MOBA for mobile, will perform. Here I wrote Pokemon Unite. I don't think it's much of an issue for Honor of Kings. Pokemon Unite might have a very niche market or not. Maybe like with Pokemon Go, we have a big boom. But in terms of users and revenue, maybe some of these games will get a piece of the pie that Honor of King is eating right now. Then we will move to PUBG. Currently, the 50% of the market is located in China. This was very surprising, but for me, I thought that PUBG was more of an American and like a West market product, and this surprised me quite a lot. And in the future, this game, I really don't see a direct competence that can perform so good that it removes this game, because there's already been Fortnite for a few months. I think it's more than a year by now. Knives Out and Garena Free Fire, which are all of them games that are direct competence to PUBG, and that they also have quite a lot of audience, and still the PUBG doesn't have any consequences from it. Okay, so this I see PUBG as a king that will stay in the top until a trend or something bigger than the competence removes PUBG from the top. Okay, so about the recap, here's the difference. We saw Monster Strike on top 3 like for half of the year, and all these games have been on top. And as I mentioned, PUBG and Honor of Kings are way above this product. And we are talking about billions of dollars. Okay, we miss 15 days of 2020, and still these numbers are almost like 30% bigger than last year. For most of in general terms, the mobile market, it's growing like 10 to 15%, or this was the estimated growth. But since there was the lockdowns and everything, this year we speeded up a bit, and we will see how the trend goes. I would like also to mention all these big IPs games which are performing pretty well. They are always on the top 50 games, and it's almost like a secure success to make an action game which is a copy from another action game. We know that most of them work if they are polished, and there's a big investment behind it. We also know that casino games work. All these names have been on the top 50 through all the year. And it's a thing that we really need to take a look at it, because there are also games that they work, and see if it works, it means that they have an audience. And I would like to mention the hyper casuals. These are the three big kings: the Voodoo, Lion Studios, and Quali. The companies itself, like Voodoo, for example, this is a French company. It's been one of the companies that generated most money this year in Europe, and it's basically because they have tons and tons and tons of games that they don't monetize as much as other games, but quantity. A huge variety of games implies to have this big amount of revenue. I would like to mention that everything was taken from Sensor Tower. They have a pretty interesting blog that even if you are not designers or people related to business, I recommend you to check it. And other information was taken directly from both the stores, Google Play and App Store. Thanks for your attention, and I hope it wasn't too long.